Hello, friend. John Dalton here, Further Emergence podcast, where we go into consciousness, the mystery, and love. And in this week, we're going to be going into rest, nature, love, kindness, guilt, intuition, self-doubt and self-sabotage, the mystery, and meditation training. But more on that later. Let's have a quick review of the memes on the Further Emergence Instagram feed. First one, I didn't write it, but it's just written in kind of little beads. It says, rest is a productive activity. And that is a really helpful thing to remember, particularly in the hustle culture, when it's just like go, go, go. And you have so many people online saying, man, you just got to do the work. You just got to, push yourself, get out of your comfort zone and all this kind of stuff. And put in the hours. And it's just good to remember, that rest is part of that mix. Rest is a productive activity because it doesn't feel like it. It feels like you're being lazy. It's a bit of ASMR laziness there for you. Yeah, it can feel like you're just being lazy. But you're not. You need to rest. And I know certainly for myself, it's a balance of doing and not doing and giving as much attention to both and to listening very carefully to my body when it doesn't want to do something. I don't push it. I just wait because I know if I just wait, it will come and then it'll be just really easy. I'll just find myself getting up, doing the thing. It'll be like wham, bam, get it all done. Like I do, I am incredibly productive and yet I don't feel like I'm hustling at all. I'm just doing the next thing. And then if I don't want to, I just rest. I just stop. I'll just do whatever I find restful, whether that's napping or just watching some stupid thing on the TV or some little YouTube video or just staring out the window or rubbing my dog's tummy. I'll just do that because I know I'm going to do, I will spring into action. And it won't even be me that's springing into action. I'll just suddenly find myself in action. The next one I did write, and it's a nice picture of a tree, and it's got the headline or the title is this is hard to say. The tree and thee. What the tree breathes out, you breathe in. And what you breathe out, the tree breathes in. Unseen communion with leaves and branches and roots. What life is given, what kindness bestowed, what love is shown in the gentle exhalation of a tree. And it's just really nice to sort of realize that we are breathing with the trees. And what the trees breathe out, we breathe in, and what we breathe out, they breathe in. It's a lovely communication, connection. Because I think it's really easy to get distanced from trees and to kind of just see them as part of the scenery. No pun intended. I know they're part of the scenery, but that there is a communication going on between us and trees. We're not independent from them. And particularly with all the climate stuff and, tree numbers, and we all know how important trees are, and they become a bit of a statistic. So it's good to kind of get up close and personal with the tree and spend time around trees so that you can pick up on the rhythm. They just communicate in a much slower way than we do. You just got to stand in a forest to realize how busy we are in comparison to trees. That's not to judge us and say that they are better. But if you want to communicate with trees, you kind of have to slow down to their speed to begin to get a sense of them. That's my experience anyway. So in short, trees are great and it's good to be friends with them and they breathe with us. The next one I didn't write. I got it out of a little book about Celtic yoga. And it was written by a 13-year-old girl. And she was on a retreat with her mother. And the retreat had lots of cathartic dancing and drumming. And there were mothers and daughters there. And it was all very, emotive, I suppose. And this girl, young woman, wasn't really involved. She was a bit back from it all, watching it all going on. But on the last day of the the retreat, she came to her mother and she handed her this little poem that she'd written. And the poem it's called The Love River. And it's just 4 lines. It says, I am very soft, feel me at the end of each fingertip. I am always there. And it's a lovely little poem, but the context of the way it was written is beautiful as well, because it means she was absorbing everything that was happening. And it's kind of a good reminder that everybody, does things in their own way. And particularly people who are maybe a bit introverted, they may not look like they're picking up or getting involved, but they are involved. So I really like it. And I think it's a lovely little poem. I have that written out on a little bit of paper on my kitchen table. And it's just lovely for my eyes to land on it every now and then. Next one I didn't write, but I think it's brilliant. Who wrote it? Nikki Banas wrote it. And she says, the headline of this one is, This Hit Me. You never really know the true impact you have on those around you. You never know how much someone needed that smile you gave them. You never know how much your kindness turned someone's entire life around. You never know how much someone needed that long hug or deep talk. So don't wait to be kind. Don't wait for someone else to be kind first. Don't wait for better circumstances or for someone to change. Just be kind, because you never know how much someone needs it. And I think that's beautiful. And the main kind of thing that really jumps out at me there is don't wait to be kind. It's just beautiful. Don't wait to be kind. Didn't write the next one either. It's like a A4 piece of paper stuck to a column, and it just says, what if it turns out way better than you could have ever imagined? Isn't that a happy thought? Isn't that a happy thought? Because our minds, our lovely minds, which are designed in a way to protect us, and part of that protection is our minds tend to look for problems and then come up with solutions for problems, which is another word for worrying. Another way of describing worrying. But we are predisposed to do it, and to really come into the moment is to get around or to counteract that natural tendency for us to look for the negative and to lean into the negative. And this is just a nice little antidote to that. It's like saying to your mind, hey, thanks for the negative strategy, but what if it turned out way better than you could have ever imagined? That's very good, isn't it? It stops the gears. It's like, what? Hang on. Better than I imagined? Yeah, I think that's beautiful. The next one I did write, and it's a picture of a person waking up in the morning, and the headline on this one is, It's All For You. The sun got up early this morning just so it could flood your bedroom as you awoke. The birds have been practicing in secret to sing just that song just when you needed to hear it. The wind has been searching for the lightest air to blow in your direction, and the moon can't wait to light your night again. All this and so much more fills the crevices of each day you are here. It's all for you. It's all love. It's a lovely sentiment. It's a lovely feeling. It's a lovely feeling when you get a glimpse of that. You wake up in the morning and the sun does shine, and before your mind kicks in with all the ideas that it has about problems that you have, and just have that feeling of gratitude or of just, all is well. It can be fleeting, but those instants are there, and that's kind of what I wrote. That was to kind of capture that feeling of one of those instants. Next one is of an old kind of movie theater facade, the thing above the movie theater where they put the movies, what's playing on. But instead of the movie, it has, turn soft and lovely anytime you have a chance. It's just a great reminder, isn't it? Great reminder to turn soft and lovely anytime you have a chance. For no reason other than it's lovely. It's lovely to feel soft and lovely on the inside. And then the last one, I managed to get this one in this morning. I was very pleased when I can remember to put this one up. It says, Saturday morning comes with pillows and silence. Time to stretch the morning toes and relish the nowhere to be. You did a lot this week, more than you can know. Love yourself a little and have a second sleep. And you could put that on a t-shirt. That's a mantra for life. Love yourself a little and have a second sleep, which kind of brackets the whole thing from the first one about rest being a productive activity. Because in the hustle kind of culture, the idea of having a second sleep, oh my God, that's a terrible idea. But it's not. It's a great idea. And there's something so restorative about having a second sleep. And Saturdays are a good day to do it. If you haven't got anything on, or if you don't have to be up for something, then it's lovely to just go, yep, I'm awake. I think I'm just going to have another little second sleep. Farm news. What have I got for you? Farm news. Not a lot. It's been raining quite a bit still. Not the heavy rain, even though there has been days of heavy rain. But lots of overcast. I know, people who live near or around or in the area like, oh, I've got the winter blues. I mean, we're in spring now, technically, but, it's that thing of the end of the winter. And, but I must say today was a lovely sunny day. It was windy, as you'll see in a minute, or as you'll hear and see. But, the sort of day that felt like the beginning of summer to me. It felt like a summery day, even though it was cold. And I did manage to go on the river, which I haven't done all through the winter because it got too cold. Now, I'm just reacquainting myself to it. So just my feet, which might sound ridiculous, but one of the things about cold water immersion, one of the things that make it very hard are your hands and your feet. They feel the cold and they feel the pain way more than other parts of your body. So getting my feet used to the cold again is just the beginning of being able to put my whole body in there. I think I'm going to. I'm not sure. Hey, did you know these podcasts are on YouTube if you're listening? So you can see, because I generally go outside when I answer questions, and you can see the beautiful nature that I live in. So yeah, have a look at it on YouTube. Did you know I have a blog? I write things, and I also send out friendly notes every Sunday. So if you're not already getting them, then go to the website furtheremergence.com. Have a look at the things I write on my blog and sign up for the friendly notes. If you'd like to write to me with the question or just to tell me how lovely everything is with you, it's john@furtheremergence.com. And exciting news in the Further Emergence world. I am doing my first ever meditation training. It's going to start in about 2 weeks, Wednesday the 12th of May. And it's going to be for 4 weeks. And it'll be live. And so it'll be an hour of instruction and meditation. And then there'll be a question and answer session afterwards. The instructional part will be recorded and it'll be available. So if you can't make it to the live thing, you can come afterwards. And then you'll also have access to the Discord community, which is a nice way of kind of keeping in touch with the other people who are training with you, and also arranging to have little meditations together, because meditating together is always better than on your own. And you can use it to kind of help you in your meditation practice as well. So 1 hour a week on Wednesdays for 4 weeks. And the title of it is Meditation Training for Growth in Consciousness. And that's really significant because a lot of people think of meditation a bit like going to the gym. It's like they go into this room, they close their eyes and go into this room and they get quiet and then they open their eyes and they charge back into their life, and it's like, okay, got my meditation done, which is not the way I meditate at all. Not the place that meditation has in my life. Because for me, my whole life is about consciousness and about helping the process of raising my consciousness or increasing my consciousness, because I realized it was happening anyway. And if I got on board with it, that it would help it would speed it up. And so I am sort of listening to my thoughts all the time. I'm observing my thoughts all the time. Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm just covered over by things and I just get caught up in things like everyone. But I default back to observing. the same way I would in meditation. So meditation for me is just a period, a little 15 minutes of heightening that experience. So it fits into, and it's just a sort of an intensification of what's going on all the time anyway. And that's where I'm coming from when I'm teaching meditation. It's like how to do that and how to use meditation as part of your process of becoming more conscious. So, pretty beautiful. So, yeah, starts the 12th of May, Wednesday the 12th of May, for 4 weeks. If you want to register for that, go to the website, furtheremergence.com. It's €47 for the whole thing. Okay? As I say, it's the first time I'm doing this. I will do more in the future, more different workshops more trainings. I don't think they'll ever be as cheap as this. But because it's the first, I just want to, open the door wide to let everybody in. So now, in response to the question I posted on Instagram, what's the biggest challenge you're facing in your spiritual life right now? Someone posted, professional life, to be honest, and still mourning a past relationship. So let's go to my office to answer this one.
Hello, Brew. I thought I'd come to my office, which looks like a coffin until I start moving, to answer. But the idea is really, I just got to be careful stepping out of here. The idea is that if you make a separation, I'm answering the professional life bit first. If you make a separation of professional life, home life, spiritual life, well, then you get all those kind of divisions, and then you feel like they're blockages. But it's all the same thing. I mean, look at my office from my professional life. It only becomes an obstacle if you are separating things out. And it's like when people come on retreats. It's beautiful, but really what they're doing is they're reminding themselves of what's important to them. And what I'm encouraging you to do is not to forget what's important to you, to have it there all the time, so that you don't have this feeling of like, oh, everything will be great except for my professional life. And you can use everything in your professional life to help you. Like difficult work colleagues, stress, deadlines, pressure, all that stuff. You can use all that to help you in your spiritual life, because it's all, you could kind of go, oh, well, I made this, I made myself, I've created this, terrible professional life that's really messing me around, getting in the way of my spiritual life. And that's one perspective. Or you could kind of go, this is everything is just like anything. Meaning it's all there to help me become more conscious. Okay? Now that's not to say that you don't change, but the changes don't come from your mind, in your mind going, yes, I need to have a more spiritual life, so I'm going to leave my professional life. That doesn't work in my experience, because that's not the way things work, or it's not the way the spiritual life works, or consciousness works. It's all part of your spiritual life if you see it that way. And then nothing, then it can't get in the way, because it's all helping you with your spiritual life. Now, getting over the past relationship is hard, and I feel for you. But similarly, it's all part of it. Because what you can do is you can go, what is it that's bothering me? Why am I in pain? And you come back into the reality of the situation, okay? And really, to break it down, you could go, well, I'm not with this person anymore. And you could go, well, what does that mean? Well, it means that I'm no longer feeling the feelings I was feeling when I was in my beautiful relationship. Okay? And that's true. But then if you keep coming back and go deeper with it, you go, well, where did I feel those feelings? You know what? Where did I feel those feelings? When I was in the beautiful relationship, where did I feel the feelings? You know, well, I'm still not sure what you mean. Did you feel the feelings in the other person? Or did you feel them inside you? And you have to go, well, no, I felt them inside me. And you go, okay, that's good. That's a good place to start. Because then you can go, all right, so then the person, you can see that person as a trigger to that they helped you feel feelings inside you. Yeah. And what that does then is gives you the potential to be able to feel those feelings without needing the trigger. Because it's the feelings we miss. We think we miss the people. And there is an element of that, and there is an element of attachment. But that aside, you can't do much with that except breathe, take the next step, and wait for it to pass. Because, and to a greater or lesser degree, it passes. Like if you've lost somebody's passed away that you loved, it's always there. You start to think about them a bit, and then you'll start to feel those feelings. You'll start to feel the attachment will start tweaking and pinching. I'm not talking about that. That's just something you've got to work through and live through, and so there's attachment. That's one thing, and we do get attached as little humans. We it's part of the deal. But the feelings of love, the feelings that you felt in the relationship, that's something you can work with. That's something you can really begin to kind of go, okay, well, let me look for those feelings inside. Let me find out ways. Let me summon those feelings forth. Let me bring them into my system, because really the other person was just a trigger for those feelings. And if I can find out how to trigger myself, that doesn't sound right, does it? I can how to feel those feelings when there's nobody around. It's a beautiful thing. And I've had this in my experience. It's not the same. Like the feelings that when someone is with you that you're in love with, particularly the beginning, it's like fireworks going off, and it's beautiful. The feelings I'm talking about being able to feel are more like the sun slowly rising. You hardly notice it until the sun is up. That's the way they rise, but they're the same. Once they're there, they're the same, but they just come in a different way. All right, I hope that helped.
So again, in response to the question, what's the biggest challenge you're facing at the moment in your spiritual life? Bad decisions, usually the big ones. I follow my intuition and it turns out worse or harder.
Intuition is great. Once you know it's not an exact science. Like the difficulty with intuition is that often when people start to come into their intuition and they get a couple of hits, meaning they get a couple of things right, they think, oh, that's it now, I'm just going to trust my intuition. And that's very risky, because your intuition is just it's got to come through your unconsciousness, and sometimes your unconsciousness gets in the way, and sometimes your unconsciousness sounds like intuition. As I said before, it's a bit like, you got a microphone inside. It just depends on which bit of you has got the microphone, is doing the talking, whether that's internal talking or external talking. And we do have a predisposition to hear what we want to hear. Sorry to be the one to say it, but it's true. And you live long enough and you sort of trust your intuition long enough, eventually you'll get it wrong. Eventually you will convince yourself of something that's just not true. And you'll have mistakes like you are talking about. So I think like, I mean, I use my intuition all the time. I use it for my work. I see people from all around the world, and you know, my intuition is a huge part of it, and I get it right a lot. You know, with very serious things, you know, like health, people in pain, you know, the stakes are always very high, and my accuracy is pretty up there. I'd say it's about 95%. But I don't think, like, when I'm working with it and I'm working with people, I don't kind of go, oh, my intuition, I totally have it locked down and it's 100% accurate. It's not. It's not 100% accurate. And having that kind of humility, I think is, I don't know what the word is, ironically, why my accuracy is high. Because I don't think it's 100%. So I kind of check, or I'm always open to it being wrong and being subjective, because it has to come through my unconsciousness, because that's all I've got in my little system. You know, I've got my consciousness and my unconsciousness, and my intuition, which is another way of saying the deeper part of me is communicating with me. It has to come through all my little cells of unconsciousness. And sometimes it gets twisted, or it gets co-opted by those very cells, and I end up thinking, oh, yes. I mean, relationships are a great example. You know, how many times have you convinced yourself that this was the one? Or this person was dead right for you, and they turned out to be dead wrong for you. And yeah, I know, there's no right and there's no wrong, but you know, you get the gist of what I'm saying. So I think the thing is, like, if you're trying to have a mistake-free life, why? What's the point of having a mistake-free life, you know? Like, no form of creativity lends itself to being mistake-free. You know, the happy accidents are often where the really juicy, brand new creative things happen. So why avoid them? You know, because it's the same in your life. Now, okay, I know the consequences of some mistakes are catastrophic. But what is this ideal life that you think you should be having? This mistake-free life. It doesn't exist, you know. So, like, you can learn from things that you've done that you wouldn't do again. That's fine. It's part of growth in consciousness and growth in experience. But you can't be afraid of them. And you can't give yourself a hard time about it and go, oh, I screwed my life up. You didn't screw your life up. You're supposed to make mistakes. You're not supposed to, but it's part of the deal. Mistakes happen in life, and it's okay, and it's fine, and it's good. And your intuition can be brilliant, but just don't believe it 100%. Just don't think it's 100% accurate. And as I say, this is coming from me, who uses my intuition all the time, and for very serious things, health, happiness, all that kind of thing. And I still don't think it's 100%. You know, I get a sense of things. I could be wrong. I could be influenced. I could be, you know, I could have a bit of cognitive dissonance. All possible. So be of good cheer. You haven't made big mistakes. You've just lived. You've just been part of this beautiful adventure of life. And use your intuition for sure. Just don't think it's 100%.
So what's the biggest challenge you're facing in your spiritual life at the moment? Self-doubt and self-sabotage.
Self-sabotage, self-doubt, kind of the same thing really in a way, aren't they? And they come from this idea of self. Who is this self that's doing all the sabotaging and doubting? Okay, it's kind of the same thing. Because it's like our self-reflective capacity turned on itself, turned on ourselves. Okay, because our self-reflective capacity is the ability to see ourselves thinking. You know, meditation is great for this. You begin to see yourself thinking, and you can see your behavior, and that's great. But what happens with self-doubt and self-sabotage, or what's called self-doubt and self-sabotage, is we look at what's happened, our behavior, and then the very same part of us that comments on how we're doing in meditation, and you know, the voice in your head, and there's many voices in your head. If you look at them, they sound like one voice, but they're all different. That voice comes in and goes, oh, you shouldn't have done that, or you're not going to be able to do this thing, you're going to fail. Okay, but that, if you can get back from that again, take another step back and hear that voice, you know, hear that voice and see it for what it is, which is just another voice inside. It's not who you are. And you know it's not who you are, because where's the self-doubt and the self-sabotage when you're in deep dreamless sleep? Okay, it's not there. Okay, it disappears. And you come back from deep dreamless sleep, you know, from your mind's point of view, from the point of view of that part of you that makes comments about things. Non-existence. You come back from non-existence and you're refreshed. You're nourished by something, okay? And what you're nourished by, your mind cannot comprehend, can't comment on, okay? That's why you don't hear your mind talking too much about deep dreamless sleep, because it doesn't really like it, because it's non-existence for it. So there's a part of you, a timeless part of you, that was around before you opened your little eyes as a baby and became conscious, and possibly will be around after you close your eyes for the last time. Because they're not really your eyes, they're just this thing you use, you know, like a car. More on that later. So the idea of self-sabotage is a commentary. It's that part of you going, oh, you know, I screwed it up, you know. And that's not to say that you don't screw things up and that self-sabotage is not a thing. Yeah, of course we do that. You know, that's our unconscious work at work. But if you see it as that's our unconscious at work, and if you see the commentary on it as that, as another bit of unconsciousness commenting on unconsciousness, then the distance gives you space. And in that little gap that you get in the distance between feeling like it's you commenting on what you just did, you know, self-sabotage. Oh, look, there I am self-sabotaging again. It's the difference between feeling like that is you and then getting a little bit of distance from it. And in the space that there is, in that little bit of distance, compassion can come in. Your compassion can come in. And you can lovingly see it's all part of the same thing. It's all part of your mind just commenting on something it really doesn't understand. And in a way, from that perspective, there is no self-sabotage. It's all just unconsciousness working itself out. Similarly, the flip side of self-consciousness, self-doubt, is kind of forward projection of self-sabotage. Like, oh, remember I screwed that thing up. I'm probably going to screw this thing up as well. I'm not confident enough to do this. You know? And it's true, you're not confident enough. And it's true, you are self-doubting. But it's all, go deeper with it. Go behind that voice. Keep going deeper until you get a bit of perspective on it. And then you can just see it commenting on something that really it doesn't understand. Which is the mystery of your life. The mystery of your existence. We just wake up in the morning and go, oh, here we go, another day. Like, there is such mystery in waking up every morning and you know, into this incredible illusion that's so believable. I mean, just look at what I'm looking out on at the minute. I mean, okay, I'm in some beautiful nature here, but like every bit of it is very believable. The good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful. It's all so compelling, you know. And it's amazing. We just pop our eyes open and we're into this mysterious thing, you know. when you put that against the idea of self-doubt and self-sabotage, it pales a bit. You can kind of go, yeah, oh, that's just part of the pantomime here.
What's the biggest challenge you're facing at the moment in your spiritual life? Feeling guilt. Is that not trusting? Now, for this one, it's a bit windy. I have tried to clean up the windiness as much as possible, but at the beginning particularly, it's pretty windy, so bear with, it gets better.
Well, guilt kind of presupposes that there was something you could have done that you didn't do, or you should have done, something you shouldn't have done. It's always good to kind of look at the consequences of your actions, for sure. That's important. And to be honest with yourself about your part in whatever happened. But guilt, for its own sake, it's not very helpful. It sort of has that stagnating quality where it stops you from being able to move forward. Because if I made a clone of you, exact copy of you, I put that exact copy of you into your life from birth, and that copy of you had every single experience that you had in your life, exactly the same as you, it would do exactly the same as you did. Just let that sink in for a minute. Because what that's saying is, or what that gets to is, you did what you did because you couldn't have done anything else. That's not to say you would do it differently now. Of course you would. But it in a way, when you're saying about not trusting, you kind of know already what the answer is. In that it's not trusting yourself, because we get our unconsciousness, we have our life experience, we have all of these things. And then we've got our soul or our spirit or this thing that moves us and animates us. And it's moving forward all the time. We're always becoming more and more conscious. So as things happen and you do things or you don't do things and things are changed, you behave differently. You will behave differently. It's trusting that. It's kind of going, yeah, okay, I wouldn't do that again. I wouldn't behave that way. I mean, if there are things that you have to do, amends maybe you have to make, fine, make the amends. But being guilty stops all of that. It's just a circular little thing where you're going round and round in circles, just being guilty. And it's not trusting your own sweet nature that you will come good, you will do the right thing, you will, do the next right thing, not the right thing in the past, because that's what happens is we become conscious. Then we start reflecting on it backwards and going, oh my God, I should have behaved differently. Start off with the fact that you couldn't have behaved differently because you didn't behave differently. That doesn't mean you can't do things differently in the next moment. And what drags you backwards from the next moment is guilt about the past. So don't be guilty. Okay? That helps.
All right, so I had a question. Someone wrote in with a question. Hi, John. When we talk about the mystery and that we enter that space in meditation, is it all inside us? When we meet as a group in the mystery, is that another space? Sometimes I think about it as if it's outside me, if it's there, in inverted commas, even if it's there all the time. But if I close my eyes to connect with it, maybe it's better to think about it on my inside. Maybe that would be more handy, practical, that it's closer. When we connect with others, is it also inside? Okay, let's go to another office to answer this one. So this is a great question and gets to the bedrock really of your experience. This question of inside and outside. And it's, on the surface of it, you could go, well, that's a ridiculous question, but it's not. It's very important. So you have to kind of ground this in what your experience is. Not what you think your experience is, but what your actual experience is. Not what you imagine or assume, but what your actual experience is. Because it's the big difference between two ways of seeing things. So, on the one hand, back in the old days of the movies, when they used to make movies in studios, if they had to do an in-car kind of scene, they'd have a car and they'd cut the front off it, and then they'd have the two actors in the car, and then behind the car they'd have a screen, and on the screen they'd show a movie of like at the back of a window of a car. So they'd create this illusion that the people who were driving, and the actor who was driving the car would turn the wheel, and in sync with this projection on the screen at behind. In one way of looking at things, you could think of your body a little bit like a car. You're inside your body, and your car has a front and a back and a sides, and you're driving your little car through your life. So then this question is like, well, where am I? Where's the mystery? Is the mystery inside my little car? Am I meeting, if I meet people in the mystery, are they inside my little car as well? So that's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is similar to the movie scene with the car that looks like it's on the road, but it's not actually on the road. I'm sure they have much more elaborate things now, but I can remember going to like a carnival, and they had this thing for like a space ride thing, that what you'd get into was like a capsule, and they had little portholes, and the portholes had screens, and they had a front screen, and this thing lifted up on hydraulics and moved around, to do a takeoff, and well, we're encountering a bit of turbulence, and the whole thing would shake and go up and down, and all the screens were synced, so it really felt like you were, that's what was happening. But then, when the ride is over, you go outside again. So it's similar. It's the opposite of the little car model. It's like when you wake up in become conscious in the morning, are you becoming conscious in your body, or are you looking into something? Is existence, is reality something you just look into? Much like that fairground ride, or much like a virtual reality thing. Because that takes the back off of everything, particularly your little body. It stops you feeling like you're in a car, that's a confined unit, and it shifts it to this is something that you look into, and then when you pull back from it, you're in a different reality, greater reality, I would say. So I'm not saying which is one is, definitely one or the other, but I know in my experience, I don't experience the back of my body. Meaning, I've never seen my face, I've never seen the back of my head, never seen my back, never seen the other side of things. I've spoke about this before, but just quickly, if you look at a tree, you can't see the other side of the tree. If you go around the other side of the tree, you're seeing that side of the tree, but you still can't see the other side of the tree. You can never see the other side of anything. Okay? Which is a bit of a clue that what you're looking at is a screen. I don't mean it in a conspiracy theory kind of way. It's a very elaborate, believable experience, but it's not real, in my experience. So for me, I'm not in a little car. For me, I'm looking into something. I mean, it's so believable what I'm looking into, but I'm looking into something. So when I close my eyes and I begin to pull back from the senses, because the reality is really a creation of the senses. It's not. Without your senses, you can't experience reality. Really, you're experiencing a different thing. So when I pull back from my senses, like in meditation, I'm pulling back from this projection, and I'm pulling back into a greater reality. So for me, the mystery is out of this little existence. When I work with people, I meet them in the mystery, which means I meet them out of existence, and it all is occurring in this vast, what we call inner space. But I don't know, like inner mean, it confines it. It's much bigger, It's like when you come out of the carnival ride spaceship thing, it's like going into the world, the bigger world. Whereas when you're in the little carnival ride, your world is just the size of the little container of it, and that's what it feels like to me. So you can check all that in your experience. When you meditate, when you close your eyes, what's your experience? Do you feel like all that you know yourself to be, the vastness inside you, is contained in a little car, body-shaped car? Or are you pulling back from this little snow globe of an existence that we look into? That's what it feels like to me, a little snow globe that we look into. Whenever we push our faces up against it and extrude ourselves into it and open our eyes, and we're in it, we're fully in it, this immersive kind of experience. And then when we close our eyes, we withdraw from it. So you have a look in your own experience and see which resonates more for you.
All right, that's all I have for you this week. I trust you're well. I trust you're of good cheer. And I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.